a Canadian pro wrestling institution. A 3-week trek through the reservations of northern Manitoba, including feature names such as Chris Jericho, Edge, Christian, Rhino, and Kenny Omega. The legendary Tony Condello Death Tour. Hear from the 2026 roster of participants from Monster Pro Wrestling. What was it like working with legend Tony Condello?
Exhausting.
Yeah. I like to say that it's an 80-20, right? So 80% of the time, it's going great, everything's going fine, and everything like that. Then there's like a 20% where something happens, and like it's just chaos ensues. But like working with Tony the last few years has been a lot of fun. I've had like better memories than anything. And yeah, like things are going to happen. We are prepared for things. And luckily, we had guys with us that if something happened, we were able to take care of it right away and reduce some stress and make the shows on time and everything. But like my experiences with Tony have been pretty good. Like he's been a good guy. He loves me. He calls me the general because I fix everything. So I have an absolute blast. Guy that probably worked with him most right here. So yeah, I'll be this guy here.
Well, I'll let you guys two first.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest reasons we work with Tony is for the stories. Like, he has countless stories with countless legends, and the ring alone even has had so much blood from legends in Canadian and, I mean, North American wrestling history. So that's just working with Tony is always an honor. But yeah, he's an 85-year-old man, so he's set in his ways. But it's, you know, it's not always a good thing, right? But yeah, what do you think, Pete?
Tony Condello is essentially my grandfather. just white. The best picture you can put for Tony is sitting at the table with his briefcases, sipping his coffee, smoking his cigarettes in the building. No disregard for anything, and just doing what he does best.
Yeah, I mean, he's what makes these tours, right? There's a reason it's like the Tony Condello rest of the tour, whatever you want to call it, the Northern Tour, the Death Tour. But Tony Condello, that's the part people remember. That's the part that like rings your ears as like a wrestling fan. Like you grow up hearing the stories, and it's like, oh yeah, you got guys like Edge, Christian, Chris Jericho going on these tours, but if they're going on the Tony Condello tour, and you go there and you get to be with the man himself. He's got stories going back 50 years of like all these tours going to all these towns that don't get other shows. It's just being with him and getting to be kind of a part of history a little bit is just a completely different experience that you don't get often in wrestling.
Not just hearing the stories, but making the stories. Being a part of the stories themselves.
Yeah, that's the best. I started working for Condello in 1997, so I've known him for 30 years, and I've watched as he's gotten older. He used to be the ring announcer, so. We've had such stars as Land Storm. Like he did his concept of the English language alone is tremendous. It's hilarious, but like they're tough tours, and that's they've made documentaries of them, not one, several of them. They've made documentaries of this guy's life. He's been promoting 50 years. He is set in his ways, but imagine you've been doing this for 50 years and how many people have stolen from you. How many guys, like there have been people that literally they're on the first day of the tour, they saw what they were in for and they just headed to the airport and left the tour. It's happened.
I'm not saying any names.
And I mean, another legend from out your way is Black Dragon. Brett Como is another guy that flew himself home because these are really bad. They're tough, right? And
stressful.
Yeah, and Tony, as he gets older, he doesn't know the roads as well. He gets lost. His sight is bad. He smokes 4 packs of cigarettes a day. I never seen a guy smoke like that for life. Like that's what keeps him alive. But again, like the stories, and this year it was really different. You know, he had the first couple of days were a little bit rougher, and then the tour kind of it worked itself out where we weren't traveling as much. And he was coming in the back telling everybody, good job, guys, which, man, that never happens. Like, he comes to the back and he's got someone in the corner chewing him out. What are you punching him for? Why are you pinning him 80 times? Blah, 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 blah. He's usually really, bitching about something. There's usually something wrong. And this tour was like way better. We had dinner together. And that, I think, attests for the crew this year. This was probably one of the best crews, the tightest crews. The ring went up and down in, a half an hour, which was because everybody just put their gloves on and got to work, and then we had a blast, man. We had we stayed in 2 rooms for fucking 3 or 4 nights. So we got to watch the comedy shows together, and that's where you get to bond. And Tony went to work and told stories one night and smoked 800 cigarettes and almost froze the guys out of the room. It's hilarious. You can't make it up. You have to actually go on it. And that's, we had a kid named Draco come with us, and he's another guy from out your way, and that messaged me because he had heard about these tours, and his dad, Scotty Mack, told him, if you could ever get on one of these, man, get on one because it's great. And he fit right in with our crew. So it was probably one of the best crews and one of the best times. You had a few cancellations. It's called the Death Tour for a reason. That's up there. I believe he said we had 3 shows canceled. So still did a handful of shows, and Jake Woods kept his record intact.
So Jake, you touched on a couple of names earlier. You've got Edge, you've got Christian, Chris Jericho, just to name a few of like the highlighted names that have been on the tour. Damage, you've been on a few yourself. Wrath, you've been on a few. For a couple of you guys, it's your first time going on the tour. What was it like, kind of just being a part of that tour and being one of the names on that list now?
It didn't seem real, honestly. When you, especially like going back to Tony's stories, and you see he has a banner with Chris Jericho and Edge on it, and you see those, and you hear the stories, and you hear the announcer talk about the legends that have wrestled before you. It inspires you, but makes you work harder. That's why we put the effort in to put the ring up, because hey, you never know, one extra guy sees your match, and you're at the next level, right? So it's honestly just inspiring to have these names in front of you. And one I learned, and I don't know if you guys learned this, but Owen Hart was on one of these tours.
Yeah,
that was one I didn't know. That's wow, what a name. But Pete, Jade, you guys have been on a couple. I know you guys have been on a lot. What was it like?
Yeah, it's one too where it's like, before I ever started as a wrestler, I was listening to like the Edge and Christian podcast, and they tell stories about this tour. And it's like hearing the stories about, being on the ice road on the way to Pungasi, and in the middle of the night, they're swerving on the road because there was a giant hole in the middle of it that was going down. They woke up Rhino in the middle of a dead sleep, thinking he was going to die and drive into the water. And so I'm hearing these stories, and then I'm driving on the roads to Pungasi, and like, oh, this is where this was happening. I can see like how bad some of these roads are, and how tough some of those travel days are. Like everyone's telling stories about like these guys, like being a kid, like growing up, especially like a Canadian wrestling fan, those guys are the ones who I really connected with early. So hearing the stories of like my idols, like Edge and Christian, Chris Jericho, Rhino, Kenny Omega, Don Callis, the list goes on. Like all these guys who I idolized before I became a wrestler, now kind of getting to see the things they saw. It's like they tell the stories like, oh, we're at this Oxford House show, and they were doing it. It's like then I get to go perform at the same house they performed at, see the same crowd they were performing in front of firsthand. It's really just a surreal experience.
The biggest thing is just the teamwork, because if you don't work as a team, it becomes 10 times harder. We got stuck in the roads like 4 times in a row in the span of an hour, and if we didn't work as a team, if we didn't like stay calm and collected, it was just going to be absolute hell. But we managed to get through it, thankfully. And you can really tell, especially with ring crew, if one guy, even just one guy, isn't helping, it makes a difference. With Tony's ring especially.
And only 8 guys. Yeah, everybody has to put in one guy down, puts that extra workload on the rest of the guys, right? So that becomes tough too. When I first started these tours, though, it was way different. So now Tony has 2 4-wheel drive trucks and a rig van. We used to take 6-passenger minivans on these roads. So half of the time it was spent pushing these bloody vehicles out of the ditch. Because I can't tell you how many times we crashed into the berm walls, and we didn't have tow ropes or any of that stuff back in these days. There was 12 of us in a van pushing, trying to get the other van out. And then, it was chaos. But for me, this is where I cut my teeth at wrestling, because Tony used to do 3 weeks on one side of the lake and then 2 weeks on the other side of the lake. So in the span of, 5 weeks or 6 weeks, you're getting 60 matches in. So you're getting a tag match and a singles match in every night. And back in my day, I got to work with a guy named Chichi Cruz, who was tagged with Jericho. He should have, if he didn't have injuries and some, personal other problems in his life, probably would have made one of the big shows. I wrestled in the WWE. I wrestled for Jerry Lawler in Memphis. And working with him on a nightly basis, either tagging with him or working with them or working against them, which I got to do a lot of times too. For me, that's really what made me the wrestler I became, wrestling with guys like that night after night after night after night. And him telling me, you got to improve this, you got to improve that, and then nights where we just had so much fun. We'd be in there for a half hour and Condello would be losing his mind because he's starving and he's pacing back and forth, looking at he doesn't even wear a watch, but looking at his wrist, looking at it and going like this. And we're laughing, right? Or like, we used to call it the postage stamp ring. It was 12 by 12 because it's the only ring they used to be able to get on the roads. So we'd have a battle royal in this ring, and Cheech would start singing, "It's a small ring, battle royal," and like these are memories. Like I remember that were incredible. Or like you have live radio and TV in all these places, and Tony likes to be the announcer, and I vividly remember one time Cheech just breaking character and cracking up on TV because Tony's interviewing him, telling him, "You're working massive damage tonight. What do you got to say?" So Cheech is like, "I'm in a bad town. I'm wrestling a bad man. I'm in a bad mood, Tony. It's bad times 3. And Tony doesn't miss a beat. That makes 6. It's just on TV." So Cheech breaks character and then goes on this tirade. It was hilarious because he had to come up with something and just went on this crazy tirade about how he's going to take me up and down the ropes, put a gassy and leave me there, blah, blah, blah. But like things like that, you can't make up. Or like the stories, I got to be a part of these stories. So this is kind of graphic. I don't know. You might have to censor a little bit of this, but we had a giant man as one of our rig crew guys back in the day. And it was, his name was Doug Brown, and he was Bulldog Bob Brown's brother and Kerry Brown's uncle. And these are famous wrestlers that did a lot of these, northern tours. They're from Manitoba. So Tony told him, I told the baby hippo, because he was big. So Tony would call baby hippo. I told him, don't drink the water. What did he do? He drank the water. So poor hippo, every 15 minutes, is stumbling out of the van and leaving a trail of watery fluids on the road. And it reeked. Like, it was disgusting. And we get to the next town and we go in the store and we come out and it's just plastered all over the front of Tony's. So I'm telling Tony, I go, "Tony, some kids are ribbing you. They put pudding." And he's looking and he's looking. He goes, "That's not pudding, it's shit." We just all started laughing and then he just goes off. He's like, "Massive, I have been on the roads for 35 years. I have watched the ocean swallow a car, but nobody's ever shit on my truck." The story just out of that is hilarious. But he tells stories about the ghost of Oxford House and Edge and Christian stealing a bunch of craft dinner from one of these places, having to replace it. And man, back in those days, you're not making a lot of money, and you'd go to these places and there'd be cases of this stuff everywhere. So guys got a little hand. There's a midget that every town something was just off. So we look and he's got an army duffel bag and there's a stapler sticking out of it. So I just went and I opened the bag and there are pens and rulers. It's like this guy was just a klepto. Like, he had to steal something from everywhere he was. And then Tony caught him. So Tony actually kicked him off the tour. He took him to the airport and made him fly home $610 to get to Winnipeg from where we were. And then he had to go to Toronto or wherever he was from. So, like I said, the tour itself, there's been so many things that have happened on it over the years, and that's a couple of things. Like, I could go on for ages. These guys can tell you, they've all been involved in stories. We're driving, we're trying to get home because it's the last, once the tour's over, we leave early because there's still a drive to Winnipeg, and then from Winnipeg we still got to get home. Luckily, we have a place to crash in Regina. So, but you still got to drive 6 or 8 hours to get to Winnipeg, and then 6 hours to Regina. So as we're driving, there's a U-Haul trailer stuck in the middle of the freaking, who drives a trailer on these roads? These idiots. And the trailer's full of meat and water. So there's a 2-hour delay, right? And that's us getting them unstuck, especially Wrath. And then we had a guy named Luke the Duke, who's actually a mechanic, and he's from Williams Lake area. And he wrestles for Cruel Pro Combat that we all kind of helped start. Monster Pro we met the owner of the company. He trained with us, and then he started his whole thing, bought a rig, and they run their own shows up there. So we brought him on the tour because, again, this is a great place to cut teeth and learn how to wrestle and learn how to, really control a match, general a match, which is what, everybody needs to learn that at some point in time. You got to be able to work as a face and a heel, not just, one or the other. Yeah. Promoters ask you what you work as. If you start telling them, I can only do this, then if they need a heel and you're only a face, you don't got a job, and vice versa. So it's really important that all these guys get to work as heels and faces and get to kind of, experience both sides of the coin, so to speak. We even had Prankster Pete the Clown as a face one night, which is just unheard of. But
still didn't get the win.
Before I wrestling me, I went undefeated.
But he wrestled as a face, which is kind of crazy because it's just not really,
it worked.
Not really a face character, and it went over.
The crowd ate it up.
It went over really.
Yeah, I gotta thank Jake for that.
Yeah.
Well, they booed Jake's face, so
Yeah.
So something that I took from your story that you told there, Massive, is that you can shit yourself on the death tour, but don't you dare steal.
I believe the scientific term is poopy dookie. So let's just
I've been on tours where guys have got caught stealing too, and I'm not going to bury guys because that's not my thing. But
it happens.
But Tony is not. That's one thing you don't do with Tony. Do not F him for money. Yeah. When he pays you, a lot of times he'll pay you an extra $20 to see if you're honest or not. And that goes a long way with him because as an 80-year-old man grew up in a different time, he smokes everywhere.
Yeah.
Because back in those days you could. And it's really hard for a guy that's grown up, and set in his ways. He's Italian, so as soon as anything goes wrong, he loses his temper. And that's part of the thing about Tony. But again, on this tour, he would come and apologize the way he would, anyways. And then, like I said, the rest of the tour, he was actually a lot easier to work with. He has what we like to call the handler, and his name is Shane Hewitt.
Wow.
He's our announcer. But Shane has the patience of I don't even know, a monk or something, because he kind of bears the brunt of a lot of shit that goes on. But Shane's really smart dude, business savvy, and he comes in and just goes, "Don't worry, I got you guys. I got you." He's always just handling shit. Yeah. So, like I said, it takes a whole group, or you don't have anything. Yeah.
Touching on that, my first tour that I did with Tony, where it was we did a summer one, so it was only a few days. At the time, my job that I was in, I couldn't do these tours, and now I've been able to do them for the last few years. So that what he said, Tony comes to payday. Tony pays me out the gas, and he says count it. So I sat there and I counted it, and then I looked at it. It's like, Tony, you gave me 40 extra, and he looked at me and then he winked and he said, "Keep it," right? Because then it's like, okay, I just pulled out. It's like, yeah, you paid me too much. Here you go. And then he's just like, you know what? Take it. You're good. And gave me that. Yeah. That was the first tour that I had.
Massive's like, he maybe gave it back.
And Tony will do that. He's big on honesty and everything. He's also really concerned with guys. That same tour, first night, Massive and I wrestled, and we were doing a spot. Picked him up. We did a sidewalk slam. Both of us going down into the ground, right? We broke the ring. Yeah. We actually broke the ring. The ring went wham. And so it's like hitting a brick wall, and it just smashed tip out of place. I land. I lean over to him. I'm just like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Nope." And so we finished the match there. And he actually had to go back to Regina the next morning and not continue the tour because his hip was out of place.
Couldn't even walk.
So
You had to drive.
I went and talked to him because he was in the car ready to go, and he grabbed his car and he took off. I came back. I like made sure that everybody had a spot in a ride, even though it was a little cramped going the rest of the way. And then I went up to Tony. He's like, "Hey, Massive's not able to make it. He's actually really hurt from last night on that thing." And I know that you were worried at first. It's like, because you never ever bailed him.
Wow.
Ever. And he was a little worried. And then Tony goes, "First question, is he okay? Should I call him?" And I'm like, "Just let him get home, drive and then get some rest of Regina. Call him tonight after the show." But yeah, he's hurt right now. So he's got to take off. He's like, "I have no doubt about that because he never does this. He has never done this."
Only shows I think I could ever remember missing was that tour. But yeah. The ring that you didn't have a supporting, one of the beams didn't have a support underneath it. So when we hit it, it broke right in half. On a side slap, there's nothing he can do. He pretty much landed on me because when we hit the ring, all his weight came on me. It's really all I remember. Oh my God, it's pain.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't even walk. And then when I finally got home and I went to my chiropractor, I heard him grumble a couple times. He's like, "What did you do?" So I tried to explain it. He goes, your left leg is 4 inches shorter than your right now. He goes, "You're gonna have to this is a serious injury, bud. We're gonna have to." And then they x-rayed me and it looks like I got like a hairline fracture on the horn of my pelvis on the left side. So it messes with my hip. And that's for years what's been messing up. I was bright, and I think I was 28 or 29 years old, and we were in Halifax. And I jumped off the 30-foot Halifax balcony and did a elbow through a table, and I remember when I hit the table, it was like it wasn't even there. I just went right through it, bounced off the ground, got myself to the back, and then the whole rest of the summer with probably a busted up pelvic bone. But that's the business. That's part of it is the bumps, bruises, and as an indie wrestler, you bite your lip, and unfortunately, in my day, you took a Percocet or 12, and then you just kept going, right? So that's changed a lot today, but back in those days was a different story.
Yeah, the stuff you give to the business for sure. So you guys talked about a lot of the travel, talked about staying in certain rooms. Give me a little bit of a picture of the travel and what your stays looked like. Was there any weird bunking situations? Like, what was that like?
Always weird bunking.
Yeah.
So I'll touch on the travel there. So the travel is like, as we're going, once we leave Winnipeg and we start going north, about as soon as about 5 hours after the first show, second day, is when we're hitting what's called the winter roads, the snow roads, right? They are swamp roads that have been packed down with snow, and the snow's frozen, so it's drivable, right? So you're going okay, so say one destination is 300 kilometers away. Doesn't sound too far, right? Hey, 3-hour drive. Not when you can only go 30 to 40 kilometers an hour on these roads because there's sharp turns. There are straightaways, but it's still just snow and ice, and there's divots from the trucks coming there. So there's times where it's the roads are really bad and we're bumping around or driving so very carefully up and over. So a lot of the time varies. So we would leave super early. And then there's also the worry, especially with how the planet's warming up at times and having different weird weather, are days where the temperature drops to a certain amount. So when it goes higher than -5 Celsius, they should close the roads because the snow starts to melt, starts to break up. Now that happened to us on the day that he was talking about. We got stuck 4 times. So we're driving the 2 trucks. I'm driving the van. And every time that we as we're taking a big turn or going up a big hill, the van ended up getting stuck because the snow was breaking apart and we're getting dug in. And then we just slap on a tow rope and pull us out. Or the snowbanks have a tendency to suck you in. So I'm just driving around and then all of a sudden, I'm going sideways. And I don't know why. I didn't hit anything. I didn't do anything. It's just going right in and then right in and boom. We actually had a close call on the way to Pagazi, which is our last show, and we hit outside of we were on our way. Yeah, we were on our way to Blood Vein. We were on our way to Blood Vein off Barron Lake or Barron River, and it's a gravel road, but it's frozen over, and we're just driving, and it's like 90 on this kind of like pseudo highway. And we're like, okay, so we're still driving 60, 50, 60 to be safe, and just driving along, and both Luke and I are sitting there, and our van just starts drifting to the side. I'm like, okay, I turn my wheel, I'm still drifting. I looked at Luke and we went, okay. And we both put our heads down because where we were going, if we went just a little bit further, the snowbank stopped us and drug us in. But if we went a little bit further, we would have rolled, right? So like duck your head down so that because we both know what to do in that situation. And then
keep in mind they have the ring in the back of the van, so if it rolls.
Yeah, all that
probability of survival is not great.
Yeah. So like the only like bonus that I would see that is that the ring would just like land on the roof and keep us kind of flat and stay in like a little spot while the rest of us are up there. But there's no guarantee. But then we also knew how to pull it out. So it is dangerous going on these roads, especially if like coming around a turn and you don't know if there's a semi coming around that turn too. So we have to like slow down at times or completely pull over because the road is so small, the semi's got to go through. And then you got the ice roads, which are driving across a lake. And there's two big ones that we do. And so obviously the one to Benghazi is like 30, 40 minutes driving across that. And it's the same going to St. Therese. It's another lake that's about 30, 40 minutes just driving across ice. And and you see it in the way that it's prepped, but if it's too warm, definitely don't risk it because you're going out. But on the living accommodations, like, oh, what did you think?
Luckily, I'm not a tall guy. I am jacked though, but being a shorter guy, the cot was pretty good for me, the little cot. But it's weird, like some of the like you're sleeping in these schools, and it's weird being in an elementary school when nobody's there. And you're kind of like, you go to the bathroom at the middle of the night and, they talk about these ghosts and stuff. You're hearing voices. But yeah, like it's weird. It's a big wrestling sleepover. That's what Matthew always said. Like we have a very tight family. So the fact that we had all the boys there, we had laughs and stuff at night. We're able to joke around and relax. Like it could have been worse. I'm not much of a camper. So at least we were inside. The one room that was really bad though, is we were sleeping with Tony. We had these buildings on the outside, and Tony always had to get up to go smoke, and he would just leave the door open all night, and it's -30 outside, and it's Tony, we gotta sleep, dude. Like we can't be dealing with this.
Yeah, if somebody here is late here, this is Spencer, who this was his first tour. You sit there. Just like
Raph, this is his name. Pizza Bear.
Pizza Bear. Yeah. So when we were telling you about like stories and stuff that happens, like, don't worry, buddy, I got this. Yeah. So we're in Oxford House, and we're just kind of like sitting. I'm actually not on my phone. Thank God for technology nowadays to fight boredom. So I'm watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and I'm just watching the new episode there. And this gentleman comes in, and I couldn't put my like the name to him right away, but something about him was like super familiar to me. He comes in, he's striking up a conversation because normally the doors to the school are locked for like safety, security, etc. But he shows up, he starts chatting or whatnot, and then I'm just like, "Hey, how's it going? It's just good to see you." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Yeah, well, if you guys want, I got a buddy here. He's got one of those big, like, square, like, kind of like pizzas, right? That are like big squares, just full pizza, right? And he's selling it for like $40 if you guys like want it or something." Immediately in my mind, I'm like, I do not trust this in any way, shape, or form. I would rather eat 7-day-old gas station sushi. I would rather get remarried to my ex-wife than give you $40. And from the couch where a young gentleman was laying, Spencer sits up and goes, "Pizza?"
From a dead sleep.
Pizza? And he starts talking to the guy. Now, Spencer is a guy that gives the benefit of the doubt. I give the benefit of the doubt of folks as well, right?
Kind-hearted.
And very kind-hearted. And he's just like, okay, yeah, talks with this guy. The guy describes the pizza, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, yeah. Scooby sense is going off here, right? And he takes out $40. He's got $40 cash. He's like, okay, yeah. You just want to come with me and we'll go get it? And Spence says, yeah, sure, I'll come with you. And I kind of like look at him, and the guy like walks off a second. I look at Spence and I say, are you sure that you want to leave with a guy you just met in the middle of the night in a place you've never been, in the far north reservation where like everything is like just there's nothing there other than like the northern store.
There was an Amber Alert.
There was
going on during that day. So there was that.
And then he's like, oh yeah, I'm like got to give people benefit of the doubt and everything. I was just like, okay. I was like waiting for this, but if it got to the point, man, then he went outside and Spence had a smoke and a conversation with this young fine gentleman, and he came back in, and then the guy said, oh yeah, I'm gonna go and I'll go pick it up. My brother's coming to pick me up, so I'll get in his truck. And sure enough, truck came, he got into the truck, and he went off. And Spence is there. So I lean back and I put on my headphones and I continue watching Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And about half an hour goes by, and Spence is there, and then my episode ends, and I take my headphones and I look at him and I go, you know that pizza's not coming, right? And then that's when it clicked in my head. I had seen this guy 2 years prior. We had done a show here at Oxford House, just in a different location. So we were at the elementary school. We did this show at the high school. Tony had hired him for security, and Tony went out for a smoke and saw him there with the kids trying to sell them drugs. So that's when it clicks for me. It's like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
No wonder it was familiar. And it's like, then I told Spence that day. It's just like, well, lesson learned. And it's true, lesson learned, right?
Yeah, well, it clicked in when I told you, when we were just sitting out having a cigarette. We were like, oh, do you do drugs? I'm like, no. Yeah, well, do you smoke anything else? No. Do you want to? Yeah, and it's just like, that's what it clicked for him. Yeah. And then right after, we just had, we just chilled there, and somebody else came in, and like he was the security guy, but we didn't know if it was a security guy, and we're like freaking out because it's like he just walked in with a purpose, and we're like, "What? Who is this guy? Does anyone know who this guy is?" Nobody has a clue. Doesn't introduce himself. Wanders into school. Yeah. So we're all, hey, watch your gear. I walked off before.
Yeah, I get up and I'm there, and I'm like shorts, flip flops, snow shirt. I'm just like, no F's given. Just like I walk up, like, excuse me, hey, just so I want to say we're the wrestlers. I just want to know like who you are and everything. Like, I'm the security guy. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. Just we saw you run in. Just wanted to like come up and chat. And then I went and told everybody else, and it's just like, just tell us. Yeah. Tell us, because we're like, sleeping here, very vulnerable, especially Cole.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I was very vulnerable at that point.
So yeah, it was that was one
sleeping conditions. There's no hotels. It's a lot of guys sleep on blue mats, cots. We used to take blow up mattresses that fucking die in about 2 seconds. Yeah. So we got away from those. The cots are
the best
savers.
The best thing ever. The best thing ever was we're all in the gym, all sleeping in the gym. 2 a.m, all you hear is a little rustling, and then from Massive in his blow up mattress because he's on the floor.
Oh.
And so he blows it back up.
3 days in, and the thing just died, put so many holes in it. I can't sleep on a floor, so the cot has been the savior.
Yeah.
Because there are hotels out there, but Tony's not paying for a hotel. No. We used to get to go into the camps every once in a while, but I don't know. Tony probably got caught smoking in them or something because we weren't allowed in the camps the last couple times. So.
Yeah, this year we didn't allow camps. We kind of set it up. I found out why. So the first set of camps that we used to go to now that area, not just Oxford House. This is the other one.
Oh,
Cross Lake. Yeah. And Cross Lake. We couldn't stay in these trailers this time because they were full. Because earlier that year, Cross Lake had an emergency evacuation because all of their plumbing just went. Yeah.
That's right.
So, and where we normally wrestled, which was a much smaller spot across from the northern store, a little tiny building, that was their HQ. So they were all set up in there, and then we had go. So that was that. And then Oxford House, we normally got the go ahead from the chief. And on our way to Oxford House, the chief was in Winnipeg, and unfortunately, he passed away. So he passed away, and we would have nobody to go to bat for us on that, so we weren't able to stay there. However, outside of this, I am an actor, and sometimes I have to send auditions via cell phone. I said, film them here and then send them off. So I needed to go and get like Wi-Fi and stuff. So I would go. I went there anyway. I just took a truck and I went there and I sat in there and I talked to the ladies who would like make lunches and everything. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna steal the Wi-Fi for a few minutes if that's okay. I got to do this. And I had a great conversation. And then they were like, wait, you're one of the wrestlers? Like, yeah. I was like, can I have a picture with you? And I'm just like, yes, you may. And you know, but but yeah, those were the years like that we really like lucked out on that and had that. And this year we got to luck out because when we were in St. Therese, they had 2 like half-built cabins that we split up between the guys that we could stay in and then use the facilities of the school, which is good because we ended up having to stay there for about 3 days. And it was good because not only that, we could go into the school, we had access to their kitchen. They had some TVs that we could actually like push some videos up on and just have like movie nights or chat.
And watch the Super Bowl there.
That was at Oxford House. We watched the Super Bowl because they had the TV that we could set up the Wi-Fi. So it kind of like fought the boredom, which is kind of like good at the technology because I can't imagine like having to fight that boredom in like doing it in the 90s and then doing it in the early 2000s when you didn't have this technology.
A lot of drugs.
Instead.
And books.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't know how to read.
This man is the only man to bring books on a death tour in the entirety of its run.
I'm the only man that gained weight on a death tour.
No. There's one more individual who will remain nameless who gained weight on a death tour, but that's only because he slept, pooped, had crap matches, pooped again, and then slept.
I ate snacks the whole tour. A whole suitcase full of snacks.
A hockey bag of snacks.
Yeah. So I found out why I gained all that weight is because the last like 4 days we had like pizza and chicken every day on our way back.
I found out.
I lost the weight during the tour, but I gained it all back in 3 days.
Okay, that is Tonyism right there. Questions and his taxes, like I lost all the weight, but I gained it all back.
So throughout the chat, you guys have talked about places you've stayed and driving places. Talk about how it felt for you guys to perform in these communities that you went to. Maybe describe like the cities that you went to and the community that was there, what it felt like to perform for them.
You go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is your first one.
Yeah.
We run some Indigenous time.
Yeah. That's why I was a little bit late. No, I'm kidding. But it was a great experience. I learned a lot, especially on how to feel engaging the crowd, feeling what they're feeling and stuff like that. Like the first night there, my first show was really good. I really enjoyed it, but then I was feeling kind of down on my second show. I had a couple kids that kind of made me feel down, like right near the end. And I just felt like I kind of had a little bit, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling good on that second match. But then after that, like I just got out of my head and just like slept on it. And then every other show from there was great. Like I was really starting to engage the crowd. I was really pumping them up. And like I had this one girl actually draw a picture of me. And it was kind of an experience that I had never experienced before. And it was great. I enjoyed every second of it.
Sleep on the chair, man.
Even Oxford House was pretty. It was still really great. We got to spend a couple days there. The whole experience with the piece of air incident
Was great. And then the other place that we stayed at for a couple days was pretty amazing too. Yeah, but in all in all, like the people that it wasn't just the people that saw the matches, but the people that housed us and
The people you run into at the Northern store were like, "Oh my God, it's the wrestlers!" and they're shaking your hand.
I absolutely loved it in Oxford House when we went to Northern Star. And they were like, "Oh my God, I love you in the Goonies."
But it really is like nice having like people. Like I went on the tour this year. I didn't go last year, but then I went 2 years ago, and we get to I believe it was God's Lake Narrows, and there's a girl there with my merch that she bought the tour I was on 2 years prior, and I'm coming out for my match, and she's like standing up trying to make sure I notice her, and she's pointing that she's like wearing the merch and all that. And I was like, thank God I'm a good guy this show, because I kind of bounced to be a good guy, bad guy, because like she was so excited to see me, and if I had to heel right to her, it would have broken her heart. It's like fans, like they really have that connection, like they go crazy for you. It really is like for a lot of times, like we're the biggest thing that comes through these towns.
By far, that's the big point. Is these communities really get nothing, so it's like having WrestleMania come to your town, especially like imagine you're a kid and you go to the Northern store or wherever and you run into your, the wrestler that you watched or that you're going to get to watch. It's really a big deal for them. And that's what over the years has really opened my eyes to the business is seeing how the crowd reacts and the impact we make, and it's tough conditions up there. The Northern stores, everything's really expensive and there's not much to do. So bringing a little bit of enjoyment for a few hours a day, getting to scream and yell and just forget maybe that you're there.
And the biggest thing is these people, like Jake said, they remember you
Big time.
because
They
they
make a big impact on these people. There's a kid that refs in Cross Lake for us. He comes and refs every once in a while.
Matthew.
And no, that's the security. I'm talking about the ref. I can't think of his name. But he's actually really good ref too. And after one of the shows, and this is about 2 or 3 years ago, comes in my dressing room and he's just smiling. He said, "You probably don't know this, but I watched you wrestle like in the '90s against Chi Cruz." And he's like, "Man, you're one of my favorite wrestlers." He wanted to congratulate me about I got a match with AEW, and he goes, "If anybody ever deserved it, to you." Like for me, that's why I do this. Is I make that connection with those people, and they love my character. So, and that's what I'm hoping to teach, all the guys I take up there. And what better place to do it in a place that, is so accepting of you guys. They want to boo you and they want to cheer you and they want to buy your merch and they want to be a part of what you're doing and meet you at the stores and stuff. So it's an honor to get to do these tours. They're hard, The sleeping sometimes sucks and everything, but if you have a good crew, the traveling sucks because, like Rath said, you're traveling about 100 to 150 kilometers a day. That's 4 hours, and you're bouncing all over the bloody place.
Not every time you get stuck and have to pull the car.
You're not.
That adds 20, 30 minutes sometimes.
And you're not sleeping if you're in the passenger seat. You're not sleeping because your head's bouncing off of every. I like to drive on these tours because I'm in control.
Exactly.
I get a couple cups of coffee and drive or listen to my music, and to me that's my therapy. So and for me, for I don't know how many years I've been doing them since I started in '97, but I think I'm somewhere around 15 of these now. And I did a handful of them for Can-Am when they were going up to Yellowknife, doing Ray and Rayetzo and all the communities up there too. So I've probably done like 15 of Tony's and 4 or 5 of Can-Am. So that's 20 years that you're going up to these communities and making a difference. So that's what I hope, that these guys take out of it. And then again, the heart of a gold of this guy, we're driving back from a radio station and we see a puppy on the side of the road. And we stop everything and Rath just gets out and said, "Nope," grabs the dog and puts it in the vehicle. And the dog shook for 2 hours, not because it was cold, because it was stressed. I think its mom had just died or got run over, and it was a puppy. It was when he took it to the vet, 5 weeks old, so she was very small. But we rescued a little puppy, and Tony is like, you see puppies on these tours all the time. We've never ever taken one home, but we took this one home, and now Raina the rescue is doing really well, and we found some possible adoptive parents for her. She stays at his place most of the time. She's had a break at my place, but I have I live in a basement that has stairs, so getting her outside is hard for us. Plus, I have 2 dogs. My pit bull loves her. My shepherd cross wants nothing to do with her because she's a little bit too high energy for her. So luckily, Rath's dogs have been really accepting of cats. So, but yeah, out of all of that, we rescued the dog too. So I think that's pretty cool story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big dog guy. My dog's sitting at my feet right now. So when I saw those posts, I was like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever."
Just adorable too. She's so friggin' cute, man.
Yeah.
She's my background on my phone.
Oh, amazing.
She was sleeping on my sleeping bag.
That's how big she is. Oh, look at this. Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Speaking of Ripley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're playing. Is now Rebna's my husky, and she was super wary of her for the longest time because Rebna's a little reactive. But now, even they get along and they play, and even though it's like growling, it's only because like Rebna is hoarding toys like a little dragon because she's playing with all the toys, and they're just, I think it's just Rebna's just like, no, I'm the bee, and still trying to play that. But now they go outside together, they play out in the snow. They're playing in the house, they're rolling around, and they're just having it's just 2 puppies going at it now. So that's a lot smaller, but yeah, she's doing great. And as I said, I had some folks come by, and they are like 100% on board. They're moving from Red Deer to Edmonton, so they can't take her until May, but they're like 100% on board. And this week are going to pay for medical fees that we've paid for her for shots, deworming, and everything. And I got her set up at a great vet, and she's gonna be adopted, so we found her a home. Yeah,
and that was even like a little bit of a theme to the tour because, like, right at the start, one of our first shows in Cross Lake, as we're heading off the ring, we have the door where we're carrying everything in from the ring band, and then this one he's older, so like he's like an established res dog. He's been there, he can handle himself there, but he pokes his head into the nice warm building. And then slowly he takes 2 steps in and sits by the door. And then he takes like 2 more steps in. And he slowly works his way in. Then we name him Elvis. And we decide he's going to be the show's mascot. So the whole show is going on. Guys are making an entrance. They're walking by the dog, jumping up and watching them. Fell asleep during Cole's match, but
That was actually your guys' match.
Jake
Wood's match. I have the photo proof of Jake Woods putting this dog to sleep.
okay. I just want to put that up.
but then we go and
we post that there. Jake Woods puts dogs to sleep. That would get you over.
but then we keep the dog in during the show. We give him some food and water, and we give him like a warm place to stay for as long as we can. Gets a lot of cold nights out there. We gave him like a warm. Like right at the start of the tour, we're taking care of dogs.
Yeah.
Later on, when you're
It's
in
not bad. You see so many of them, and they're just can't rescue them all. But man, it's
heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. Well, it was good
Totally.
that we got. And she's just like I said, she's adorable, and she's a sweetheart. Hopefully, we get to see her grow up and have a great life because she impacted all of ours.
Exactly.
Even the promoter, we got pictures up there with Tony, which was just blows me away that he was so
Accepted.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
I think he was going to listen to a guy like the General. So.
Yeah. He also calls Wrath the General because he just can't pronounce his name. He calls him, he can't say Wrath. He says Rat.
And also, unrelated to his wrestling character at all, but he books him on the posters as Sergeant Rat.
Yeah.
Not his character whatsoever, but Tony decided he's Sergeant Rat.
Yeah.
Or we went to we went to Winnipeg for that show. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And we had Scotty Mack, and he had
Former
former WWF legend Buddy Mack. He like announced him as Buddy Mack before he goes out the mouth. It's like he's just sitting there. He's just like, wait, what did he call me? Buddy Mack.
So
funny.
from
I was above damage for about 30 years, so he's never had anybody's name right. Rat is another one.
From Cree Nation.
Thunder Bear was from Cree Nation. He has no idea, doesn't speak any Cree at all.
No.
He's Sakani, so it's not even close.
Yeah,
And I'm trying to tell Tony, he's not Creed. He's fucking great. He just freaks out. Right? Okay.
I was the only guy. Tony has gotten my name right first time. First try.
It was so funny seeing that first show when they announced Thunder Bear and Shane's there announcing it. It's like 100% Cree Nation, and he just turns directly to me with his face like right back. It goes out, right? And he goes out, and I was just like, that is so fucking
like I get it. I probably get over the Cree, but you know, it's like someone speaks to me Cree, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't.
That was the best quote of the whole thing. Steve Martin, the Big Panther there. Yeah. That's Cree for a
So from each of you, if I could get a highlight from the Death Tour in general, whether it's, you know, for you guys who have been a couple of times, for those of you who have gone for the first time, a highlight for you from the Death Tour.
My one involves Jake Wood.
Ew.
So we were the third. What venue was this? Red Sucker Lake, I believe. So Red Sucker Lake. We were the third match of the card, and the first one. Not that the crowd wasn't into it, but they were just kind of giving the hesitant and wrestling's fake kind of thing.
Couple, like 12, 13-year-old boys who are like getting into like, oh, I'm kind of too cool for this. So it's like we grab a headlock in the first match, and they're like, that looks fake.
And Jake was in the first match under a mask as El Atletico. We flew him in. So, but
That was you?
the entire time it was Jake.
Oh my god!
So what Jake and I decided to do is we did wrestle a match technically, but we just went out there and beat the heck out of each other.
We just hit each other for 10
We just hit each other as close to as hard as we can, and that was one of the most fun matches I've had in my career. They were into it, and we were into it too.
Like we could have been, you know, Bret Hart wrestling Zack Sabre Jr. and they would not have cared about us doing any technical wrestling. They were just not the crowd for it. No. But then at somewhere it's like, then I go, like I'm wrestling against Luke the Duke. I hear him say it's fake. I grab him. I say, sorry, brother. Put him in the corner, chop the shit out of him, and then they get a reaction for that. So it's like, then I tell him, okay, duck one and hit me back. So I miss a chop and he lights me up. So then that's what gets him going. That's what they were there for.
Yeah. And I was a bit nervous with Tony because Tony likes a traditional wrestling match. And Jake charged me hot, coming in with some fire. They just started beating each other. I went to the match. Tony, how was the match? It was good. No complaints. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Which is surprising.
He doesn't usually like his baby faces to punch, to strike. So I think he kind of, you know, he's done this for 50 years. He can beat a crowd at this point, right? So
surprisingly, an 85-year-old Italian can grow.
Yeah.
Jake, what about you?
I think for me, like obviously there's like the cheesy stuff, like all the highlights, you know, spending all the time on the road with everyone, like just having like those nights hanging out. Those are all like the best ones. As far as like for the wrestling aspect, I'll say my favorite was a night where I wrestled Pete. And Pete and I have been training together since I started wrestling 3 years ago. And we've had a lot of tag matches and stuff against each other, but we didn't actually get to work one-on-one against each other until this tour. So we do that about 3 times, and the 4th time, just the way the card's structured with how we're established, because it's our second show in a town, and on the first show I'm already established as a heel, and the second day I'm working him. So it's like, okay, Pete's going to have to be this evil clown as a baby face, and I'm going to be the heel. So we more or less do the same match we've done 3 times, just kind of switch roles. We switch roles, and then we go out there and like
Hogan Rock kind of thing, right?
It's like literally, like, we just have to like play. It's like, okay, like we already know everything each other does. We just flip it, and then he goes out, he gets them going at me right away, so they're cheering him because they're all booing me, and we get a good back and forth going, and we have like such a fun match, completely flipped from like how we normally work each other. So I think that one is one that really stands out to me.
Still fucking lost.
I'll throw one while I was on the tour, we were wrestling Luke Duke, one of the guys from BC, and he's still very new in his career. I think he's still getting established. So we were really working with him. We had a full day of training, work with him, and then the next day we had a match, and it was actually my 100th match of my career. And I worked him. And it was the first time he really like put all the things we worked on and trained together. He had, which I think was by far the best match he's ever had. He'd say it himself.
It all clicked.
So it all finally clicked for him. He had a hell of a match. It was my 100th career match. So it's like, that's one that I'll really remember, just having that one.
When we all love support each other, he came into the locker room too. We all gave him a hug. We could hear the crowd.
Yes, yeah,
The crowd
tears in
was
his
screaming.
eyes.
That was incredible.
I was
Yeah,
repping
tears in
that.
his
You
eyes.
reckon that one?
It was literally had tears in his eyes. I'm so happy that because I don't. Contrary to popular belief, I'm not always the sweet young gentleman you always see. I tend to yell at people from time to time when I don't. No. Hardly. I tend to yell.
All right, so what was your highlight?
That gave me a head rush.
My highlight was the last show because I was being hearing from Massive that every year we go to that Red Sucker Lake, I think it was. Port of Fungasi. Every year they just kind of they're like they were the crowd wasn't engaged. And stuff like that, and I felt really good because out of the whole tour, I was working a crowd and kind of getting them up, and I was the second match on the card, and the first match kind of got them up, but I felt like my match was the one that actually like brought the crowd up, and like dude, he was impressed that the crowd that Fugazi was never like
That was names and got a chicken chant going.
Yeah.
Fugazi, it's like pulling teeth. Like I've wrestled the matriarch there. Was their queen and it was like pulling teeth to get them to do anything. They would giggle and laugh and they'd clap, but no cheering, no chanting. And I mean 200 people too, so that's hard.
Yeah.
Doing nothing's wrong.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my highlight. I felt really great that all my work on working the crowd paid off. So
That was like
You're welcome.
Yeah, he had a good veteran selling the ropes.
Oh no, you trusted me that day.
My favorite moment. I'll kind of cheat a little bit, and I'll have two. But my favorite moment was the first night we ever slept together in a room as a crew. I'm right beside Tony, and Tony is in a coffin pose, sleeping like
I have
this.
pictures of it.
And he every time he took a breath out, he would go, "Fuck up, fuck up." And I thought he was talking to me. No, sleeping. And then, not like an hour or two later, the referee we had on that tour, my very first tour, had night terrors. So he would start going, oh, and it's like, oh man, like, thankfully, like that was the only night it happened because I think the nerves were getting to him. But like, that was a wild night.
Yeah, just sitting there. Cobras. For me, it's like definitely biggest highlight is that pump, like getting that there, right? But the other highlight wrestling wise for this tour was the last match that we had, where it was these two gentlemen against me and Draco, and there's a spot where going off calling me a caveman before we even get into the tag match. He goes, "Watch this, hey." What am I saying? Ooh, ooga booga, right? Like that. I'm like, so I turn to my partner, sucking that in. I'm like, what is he doing right now? He's just making fun of it. And then Draco looks at me and goes, I don't know. That was so disrespectful. What did he say? And then right there is the one moment that I completely broke character.
Yeah.
And I just stuck my teeth in. Literally slow motion of my face, and you can see it from what I was saying was that. And then Draco looks at me and under his breath goes, I'm so sorry. That's the most fun when you get him to break character for sure. The puppy was always be a highlight, but the first set of radio was so much fun because I've always told Tony or the boys about how Tony is like, you never know on live
radio
or TV. One time, we're live, and he's got the mic, and he's looking at me. He's like, "For fuck's sake!" And I'm like, "Tony, we're live." And the lady's like, "Tony, like we're live," and he's swearing, and putting out a cigarette. But he gets in there, and he's going over, and he's trying to read the poster, and he's going over who's on the card. So there was only me and Wrath and Thunder Bear that went because you can only fit so many people in the truck, right? So Draco's on the poster, and he's like, "Here's another guy. His dad is very famous. It's Scotty Mac. His name is Draco. Where is he? Then he would come, like, and Tony said, so he doesn't lose a beat. Oh, I have told you he's back in the gym training for his match tonight. Like, he doesn't ever miss a beat, Tony. He just, if he blows something, he saves it, keeps going. So that kind of set the tone for the tour. Pizza Bear is a good story too.
Yeah, Pizza Bear.
Pizza Bear's the story too.
Well, I really appreciate you guys sharing all of these stories. I mean, I'm sure you guys are going to have enough to share for a lifetime. The camaraderie that you guys have now, just after everything, that's going to last forever. So
this is what our family is like. This is what Monster Pro is like. It's not just, this is, we're talking about it today. We're trying to come up with like our 3 words of who we are. Brand is definitely something. We're an old school brand, but we're building this incredible culture here. But Cole, came up with the last word, and it makes so much sense, family, because that's really what, when you come into these doors, you're brought in as a family. You're expected to hold yourself to a very high standard, and you're expected to show up and work with everybody and watch the new guys come and become our new stars and stuff like that. And we're in the process of another 2 new people getting ready to have their first matches and watching how excited they are and stuff. So that's really what NPW is about. And, Tony really only wants to bring our guys. He doesn't like, the rest of the guys. A lot of people in the business don't think they should have to set up a ring or this or that. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're going on a Tony tour, you have to, because it takes 8 people to set that bloody ring up, because there's so many moving parts to it. So you have to be able to be ready to do some work, travel,
you gotta be
not sleep. Yeah. And got to be ready to be a team player for sure.
Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah.
Monster Pro Wrestling.
Or YouTube.
Yep. We post dark matches a couple of once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Every couple of weeks, we got a nice. We just started our MPW Classic series, so we were on TV coast to coast on. Can't think of the channel, Access Channel, back in 2006. So on our YouTube, we'll be giving you a current match, a dark match, and a classic match at least every month. So really trying to get the YouTube going, our YouTube channel and stuff. And let people see like what's going on. Wrestling's still alive really well and thriving in Alberta. So
yeah.